You're most welcome. Before we continue with our discussion, let me remind you of the poll question, which is, do you think Uganda's economy is taking the right path? I repeat, do you think Uganda's economy is taking the right path? You SMS your yes or no answer to 8198. I repeat, you SMS your yes or no answer to 8198, and we shall show you the results of this poll at the end of this show. Retired Colonel Kizza Besigye, in today's State of the Nation address, the President was very hard, as has always been the case these days, on we, the media, and at some point you had come in also to possibly pour a similar, or if not, had a scorn onto the media for portraying matters fallaciously or possibly not with the depth that they require. He actually said that we in the media have no right to sabotage the successful economic recovery of this country in such a manner that will scare away even the other potential investors that would love to come here and make the situation much better than it already is. We'll start from the President's personal sentiments towards the media, and of course the recent events of how the government is coming in very hard on how much we can exercise our freedoms and liberties as the fourth estate, and of course your personal frustrations, if not happiness, about the performance of the media in Uganda.
Well, of course, as I said earlier, the President is always looking for all kinds of scapegoats.
Punching bags.
Yes, and, it will be the opposition, it will be his ministers, it will be the media, it will be everybody else except himself. The media, obviously, is really, I think, between the rock and the hard place, frankly. They are I believe media practitioners or journalists or whoever is functioning within the media who would want to act professionally. But the environment is obviously oppressive to such
tendencies,
professionally oriented practitioners. Because, as you know, we have laws that are frankly, only fit to be under the Amin type regime, which this regime is happily, sticking to, criminalizing reporting and, all kinds of things. So the environment itself is not conducive to free media expression. But secondly, I think the government has invested heavily in compromising media practice in Uganda.
Is that where your frustration is coming from with the media?
Oh yes. First of all, many of the outlets are controlled by the state directly. You have the state-owned media, but you also have the private media controlled by the state, either directly through agents, the people who are in government owning those media outlets, or indirectly, as I have indeed complained about your colleagues in the Monitor, who obviously are increasingly under self-censorship because of the relationship the Aga Khan, the owner, has with the government. So the space available for free media expression in Uganda increasingly is narrower. And that is why, indeed, even the messages we give to the public are distorted, if reported at all, by the existing media, which is what you read. Colonel
Besigye will get back to the issue of the media, but let's have a call coming in from Mutungo by Ben. Once again, Ben, a very brief question or comment.
Hello.
Yes, you're live on the spot.
Yes, my name is Ben. I'm calling from Mutungo. Just one observation and one question. The observation is, I think the Kano is not getting the economics right on Bonaba Gagawale. I am not sure that he's right when he tells the public that peasants are taxed and then money taken back to them. I think it's important to understand that taxation is not affecting more the poor and the peasant. It's actually him, us, and others who are working that are the bulk of those who must contribute to the peasants in the villages. So when they tax and take money through Bonabagagawale to the villages, it's a good thing to do. I think he shouldn't utterly oppose it.
Thank you
My
so much,
second
Ben, for
question,
that. I'm afraid I will only take one question from you because we have Susan calling us from Chireka. Susan? Susan?
Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
Susan.
hello. Yes, I'm Susan calling from Chireka. I just want to comment and say, really, what we are going through in this country, I think we are getting choked up. We are suffocating, we are choking. There are so many issues that are going on, a lot of corruption, and really we are not happy.
Thank you so much for that expression of frustration. We have John on the line from Ntinda. John?
Hello?
Yes, John.
I'd like to ask the Kano to comment about a situation in which you have on one side a seeming deterioration of health services, probably caused by low investment in the health sector, and a situation in which you seem to continue to have senior government officials having to spend colossal sums of money to go ahead abroad for treatment. So I'd like to find out from the Kano how he'd probably address a situation like that if he was in government.
Thank you so much, John. Let's take Sydney from Mackindia. Sydney, you already asked, but make it very brief.
Kano, without dodging the question or apportioning blames, I'd like you to apportion a lasting solution to the agriculture state in your country right now.
To the what?
Agriculture
state.
Thank you so much for that wonderful question. A very brilliant question here being asked by John in Ntinda. He says, senior government officials spend colossal sums of money getting treatment from abroad, and yet the health systems in this country are completely failing. Doesn't that sound as a paradox? But before you answer that, there's Auzo on the line. Auzo?
Hello, good evening to you.
We're very fine. You're on the spot. Brief question or comment?
Yeah, mine is just an observation. I think I have a very high respect for Kano, but I think he's looking everything from the negative side. I would wish that he gives his proposals of how best we could address some of these situations, but not just to criticize the government, because we're all players in this government. He has been in the system, now he's out, but we need his contribution so that we can put what is wrong right, other than just looking everything from the negative side. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful comment. Let's take our final caller, who will be Duncan, calling us from Kampala.
Hello.
Yes, Duncan.
The problem I have with the Kano that he doesn't see anything positive that the government has done.
Precisely the same as the previous caller.
One of the problems I have, like of Mr. Hassan Basaja Balaba, has he ever visited Kampala International University to see the kind of development that's there? The education sector is quite good at the moment. This is my sixth year in Kampala. I'm from Kenya, but I've really seen the benefit of the education system. At least let him tell us, is there anything positive that the government has done? Rather than every time saying the government is bad, of which he was part of it. Thank you.
Maybe I better start with that. I've really answered it before. You know, the question of whether we are only criticizing. I believe Duncan and Auzo and others like them possibly missed out when you were asking me what we would do if we were in government. Because we have a very clear program, and it must be also made very clear that my role is not to be a public relations officer for the government.
But maybe your program, which is supposed to be an alternative to the failing systems, as you call them, of the state, has not been well articulated and possibly has not sold out very well. It's an issue of money.
No, it's well articulated, and those who care to know it, know it. You know, I've talked about some of the aspects here tonight. Obviously, they were not listening. You know,
or maybe they were listening, but they were not convinced.
No, you see, the problem is this is again a large part of commentators like those, you know, who the same things. Basically, you are angry. Where are your alternatives? Where are these? These are just, you know, the same kind of statements that are, you know, being pumped out of the NRM offices through some loudspeakers. It is the same NRM talking.
Susan from Chireka says this country is choking citizens.
Yeah, but let me say this, you know, that...
and she needs an alternative.
Let me say this, that, you know, frankly, you know, there are people who must speak for the Susans. You know, where you have to work very hard, indeed, to see a positive. Because people are always talking about positive. When they are talking about positive, the things they are talking about is what I was telling you. You know, the superficial, artificial things that are there, which they call positives.
Kano, are you saying that there is nothing that we can give credit to for this government?
I'm saying there may be there. They are not. They are not for me to. You know, the president talks for himself. Today he spent hours talking about his achievements, 10% growth, and how everything is rosy. How, you know, the country is very well off. He talks for himself. He has a whole apparatus of you know, people who speak for the government, the ministers, the RDCs, they have hired public relations people, some of whom they pay billions of shillings, as you
But
know,
I believe
talk
as
on
a
behalf of
good
government.
leader, you should be able to come out and give credit where it's due, and then say, however...
No. What our role is, first of all, is the general assessment that really our country is going to the dogs. That is a general assessment. The question is, even as on its way to the dogs, there will be some good things happening within that stream. But the stream is down to the dogs. And that is, for me, as a strategic commentator, I will not, you know, go to comment on whether, you know, somebody was performed well in Makerere. The question is whether education as a whole is producing relevant and quality human resource for our country or not.
John seems to raise a concern which many Ugandans have raised.
The indisputable fact is that, you know, the general direction of the country is downward.
John raises a very important question which many Ugandans have questioned, that you go to Mulago Hospital and the system there is simply dysfunctional, and yet you have government, relatives, friends, ilk and the like taking treatment from
that does not even need,
it
does not need any person, you know.
And one wonders that if the Forum for Democratic Change was in charge of this country and you are the president of which, wouldn't such practices happen?
Because it starts with the president. The president made a categorical statement that, you know, where health is concerned, he does not trust our doctors, he does not trust our institutions, and he will not compromise. He must go abroad, and his family must go abroad. Once you've set that standard, then all the other people who make it possible for you to stay in the office, you know, all the other people in the patronage networks, will demand go. And most people who go, it is him.
10%. Retired Colonel Kizza Besigye, I must be taking my final question on to you, and that is the issue of 2011. You have led the Forum for Democratic Change twice unsuccessfully for the presidential bid. Are you looking at leading them another time?
Well, first of all, that's factually wrong. The Forum for Democratic Change is only 2.5 years old.
Well, before was the reform agenda,
I could not have
a rose by any other name still smells as sweet.
I could not have led it for 2 times.
Colonel, a rose by any other name would still smell as sweet, but let's proceed.
Well, I don't think that is relevant in this respect, because Forum for Democratic Change is a political organization, which was not there. I was there. Yes, I would be the rose as a candidate if I was to
You've
stand.
made 2 attempts at the presidency. Are you making a 3rd attempt at the presidency?
Well, I can make 100 attempts for all it matters. You see, the whole thing is that the attempts we are making are not about Besigye becoming president. The attempts we are making is uprooting a regime and system of government that we think is detrimental for our country.
Colonel Besigye, my interest is in the person of retired Colonel Kizza Besigye. Are you making a 3rd attempt at the presidency?
The person of the retired Colonel is now a subject of an organization, and it must, if you want to know whether if my organization chose me to fight on, whether I would fight on, and
Thanks
the answer
for
is
asking
yes.
the better question.
Yes, the answer is yes. If I'm asked by the Forum for Democratic Change whether I would want to lead, whether I can lead them into another contest. All things being equal, I don't know at that stage, but all things being equal, yes, I would lead them because our strategic struggle, which took me to the bush, where many of our comrades died,